What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. Both President Biden and former President Donald Trump find themselves in a bit of a pickle, or maybe even bigger. We'll go over that here in this video and much, much more. Thank you so much for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out our channel, and we got a lot to go over here for you guys in this video. Also, if you've been watching our channel, you know here that we are giving away thousands of dollars here for here, and we have been for the Thanksgiving holiday, and we actually got some winners that we have been sending out to. In our daily trivia questions. We're also going to be doing this here for Christmas or the Christmas holidays here as well. So make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel down below. If you haven't yet, it's completely free to do so. Click the bell icon after you subscribe, and I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching and to you and your family. Let me know what you're doing for Thanksgiving this year. So, President Biden announces here that they are extending the student loan payment pause all the way until June of 2023, potentially, or even longer. Here's what he has to say.
Folks, I want to give you an update on my student debt relief plan. As Americans continue to recover from the pandemic, my administration has been working to provide student debt relief to millions of working and middle-class families across the country. But Republican special interests and elected officials sued to deny this relief, even for their own constituents. But I'm completely confident my plan is legal. But right now, it's on hold because of these lawsuits. We're not going to back down, though, in our fight to give families breathing room. That's why the Department of Justice is asking the Supreme Court of the United States to rule on the case. But it isn't fair to ask tens of millions of borrowers eligible for relief to resume their student debt payments while the courts consider the lawsuit. For that reason, the Secretary of Education is extending the pause on student loan payments while we seek relief from the courts, but no later than June 30, 2023. Which would give the Supreme Court an opportunity to hear the case in its current term. Payments will resume 60 days after the pause ends. I'm never going to apologize for helping working class and middle class families recover from the economic crisis created by the pandemic. And I'll continue working to make government work to deliver for all Americans, This is important.
Yeah, so you can let me know your thoughts here on this in the comments section. This will at least provide tens of millions of people additional student loan payment relief and interest relief while this goes through the court system. This is probably expected to go to the Supreme Court. Remember that the Supreme Court has already upheld the Biden executive order for student loan forgiveness twice. And all the other lawsuits have already been upheld as well. This one particular lawsuit has been a thorn in the side of the Biden administration as it's been knocked down by Republican justices. So it was a Trump appointee, and then it went to a federal appeals court in which 3 Republican justices voted it down as well. So we will see when it goes to the Supreme Court. Remember, the Supreme Court does have a Republican majority. There is 6 Republican justices on there and only 3 Republican Democrats. But previously, when it went to when previous lawsuits went to the Supreme Court justice, and it was only went to a preliminary ruling from the Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett, who is a Trump appointee, ruled that they were legal, and she kicked them out and said it didn't need to go to a full ruling from the Supreme Court. So we will see. We will see. Remember, this is basically a massive stimulus program to $10,000 to $20,000 of debt relief for over 40 million Americans. So I'll keep you up to date here on this. Also, the Supreme Court just finally ruled on a long-time legal battle over Trump's tax returns that they are and they should be handed over to the House of Representatives. Trump's not very happy about this, but remember that he personally picked three of these Supreme Court justices that went on the Supreme Court, and six out of the nine Supreme Court justices are Republicans. So you can let me know your thoughts on this. Sometimes it's just not whether or not it's they're your friends or not. Sometimes it just boils down to whether the actual ruling is by law or not. So you guys can let me know your thoughts. Here's what Trump had to say in return of this. Former President Trump on Wednesday ripped the Supreme Court after it rejected his emergency appeal seeking to shield his tax returns from House Democrats. The court order on Tuesday caps a multi-year legal battle, paving the way for House Ways and Means Committee to receive the former president's tax returns. Trump said on Truth Social, quote, "Why would anybody be surprised that the Supreme Court has ruled against me? They always do," Trump wrote on Truth Social. "It is unprecedented to be handing over tax returns, and it creates terrible precedents for future presidents. Has Joe Biden paid taxes on all of the money he made illegally from Hunter and beyond?" You can see here Trump bucked the tradition of publicly sharing his tax returns during his 2016 presidential campaign, citing an audit, though the IRS regulations do not prevent someone from releasing their returns while under an audit. Also, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham had to testify before a Georgia grand jury in the Trump election probe. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Will's office is seeking details about phone calls Lindsey Graham made to top election officials in Georgia after the 2020 election. Lindsey Graham tried to get out of this testimony many times, but he was made to testify. He testified before a grand jury investigation about possible interference in the 2020 presidential election. Graham's office said in a statement he testified for just over 2 hours and answered the grand jury's questions. Quote, "The senator feels he was treated with respect, professionalism, and courtesy. Out of respect for the grand jury's process, he will not comment on the substance of the questions." This comes as the Supreme Court earlier this month rejected Graham's request to quash a subpoena from the grand jury in Georgia's probe. Now, Lindsey Graham could have pleaded the fifth. We don't know the answers to that yet, but it looks like he answered the questions. We'll have to see. Based on the details of what they said there, it looks like he answered the questions. I'll keep you guys up to date. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren slams the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell for risking pushing our economy off a cliff. She says, quote, "There is a big difference between landing a plane and crashing a plane," relating to crashing our economy. Here's what she has to say. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren continues to blast the country's central bank for inflation fighting tactics. She says here she delivered a speech on the role Democrats should play in helping the economy during an econ convention, a convention hosted by progressive groups like Democrats and the Economic Security Project Action. She emphasized the need for Democrats to accomplish as much as they can between the lame duck session and the time between when the Republicans take control of the House in January. Her focus was on eliminating the debt ceiling and the Federal Reserve's role in managing soaring prices on the country. Warren, who has been outspoken on the opposition of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell previously said that his aggressive interest rate hikes to combat inflation could lead to a recession and therefore a stream of job losses. The Fed most recently hiked interest rates again by 0.75%, the fourth consecutive time doing so in a row. Remember that 0.75% of interest rate hikes is the highest interest rate hike ever in one shot. And they have done that four times in a row. And they're probably going to raise interest rates again in December. Yeah. And Senator Elizabeth Warren said they're acting too aggressively and risk hurting Americans, which they really probably are doing. They're raising credit card interest rates every time they raise interest rates as well. She says, quote, "Of course the Fed has a role to play in getting inflation under control. But there is a big difference between landing a plane and crashing a plane. Quote, Powell risks pushing our economy off a cliff. And who will be most likely to lose their jobs? Not stockbrokers and investment bankers. No. The people out of work will be low wage workers and those already struggling the most with rising prices. The Fed needs to slow down on these extreme rate hikes and remember its dual mandate of price stability and maximum employment. The jobs and the livelihoods of millions of Americans hang in the balance. It's a concern other Democratic lawmakers like Senate Banking Chairman Sherrod Brown from Ohio have shared as well. Ahead of the Fed's announcement of interest rate hikes this month, Brown warned Powell that continuing the aggressive strategy to fight inflation could end up doing more harm than good. Yeah, and this is something that a lot of people are starting to get worried about as we're starting to see interest rates. I mean, we've seen mortgage interest rates alone more than double. I mean, at the beginning of this year, we had mortgage interest rates at 3% or under 3%. Now the average mortgage rate was at 7% or higher. We actually just seen a dramatic drop because of we just got the new inflation report and it dropped from 8.2% to 7.7%. And the new kind of readings are people think that the Fed is going to start doing less dramatic interest rate hikes, which still means there's going to be more interest rate hikes, though. So the Fed is probably going to raise interest rates again in December. So we're kind of seeing an anomaly right now where interest rates have actually dropped in mortgages. At least they actually dropped about 0.5%, from about 7.1% to 6.6%, which is really kind of strange. It really just means that banks drop the rates on their own, but the Fed is expected to raise interest rates again here in December. So, yeah, and I haven't seen any drops in rates from the credit card side, so only on the mortgage side. Yeah, so this is kind of the problem of what we're seeing here right now is that it's really it's just a bad thing here right now, and we're seeing tens of thousands of people laid off from major companies right now. Is really we're a lot of people think we're in a recession. And these interest rate hikes are potentially pushing us into a larger recession. So let me know your thoughts here, and I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. It's completely free to do so, and then click the bell icon after you subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next. Or you can click here to watch my newest video on the new Social Security payment schedule and update. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.